Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare, in collaboration with various stakeholders, recently organized the 3rd National Men's Conference. This event, held under the theme Zero Male Suicide, promoting positive masculinity, aimed to provide men with a crucial platform to discuss mental health, delve into legislation addressing gender-based violence, and collaboratively strive for positive societal changes. Joining us to provide more, or in a summary rather, of the conference is Benson Matali, the Deputy Director of the Gender Mainstreaming in the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare. Very good evening, Mr. Matali. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Right. Now, could you highlight the key insights or takeaways from the 3rd National Men's Conference, especially regarding discussions on mental health and legal frameworks combating gender-based violence?
The conference has taken place in two phases. The first part of the conference took place in Karas region, which is in Kitmanshop, right. Which took place on the 23rd of November 2023, at the margins of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And then the second part of it is the one that took place in Ondangwa, Oshana region, which took place on the 1st of December 2023. And some of the key takeaways from these conferences is that men have shared experiences in terms of issues that relates to gender-based violence, issues that relates to mental health, as well as issues that relates to real-life experiences in terms of the laws that relates to gender equality and gender-based violence. And they have also shared experiences in terms of, I remember there were some incidences where some individuals would share their real-life experience that they are survivors of suicide and how they manage to cope. For me, those are some of the key takeaways from this conference. Another key takeaway was the issue that the issues of mental health was unpacked during this conference, and the stigma around it was deliberated more to encourage men so that they can seek help when they are disturbed, when they are depressed, when they are experiencing social problems that may affect them on a daily basis. So some of these ones were the key takeaways, and also the laws that we covered, especially with regard to the recently amended laws, such as the Combating of Domestic Violence Act, as well as the Combating of Rape Act, where information was shared and men were encouraged to acquaint themselves with these laws so that they are fully equipped with the legal instruments that we have in our country.
All right. Now, can we take a look at specific initiatives or actions rather that were deliberated upon? You just mentioned a few now, but which ones were during the conference actually aimed at fostering positive masculinity and preventing male suicide?
The key ones that were aimed at preventing suicide and promoting positive masculinity was the session that deals with mental health, because we had a panel discussion. In this panel discussion, we had key actors. For instance, we had psychologists there, we had social workers, we had traditional authorities, and also the faith-based organization leaders from the churches, so that they can share with men in terms of what mental health is all about, and apart from that, what are the options that are available and the services that are out there where men can seek help, can seek assistance in terms of mental health and their mental well-being.
Very well. And this is a platform for all men to table challenges, of course, that men are facing. So what were exactly the challenges acknowledged during this conference, and what were the proposed solutions or strategies put forth to address these challenges?
Some of the challenges that were mentioned and identified during this conference was the issue of toxic masculinity, where men are expected to behave and act and do things in a certain way as society ascribes. But during the discussions, we realized that there are certain things that men shouldn't be doing that are really affecting them badly. For instance, situations where men is being expected to act in an aggressive way, taking risks and so on. So men were encouraging one another that there are other alternative ways in which you can do better things without, for example, resorting to gender-based violence.
And what are some of those solutions they provided?
Some of those solutions that were provided, for instance, was men should seek help.
How many we are here today?
There are leaders in the communities. They can assist them. At church, they can be assisted by pastors. They are medical doctors. They are psychologists. They are social workers. Even the GBV protection units are there for men as well. So these platforms, these spaces are being created to ensure that men also benefit from the available services. Another challenge that was discussed was the issue of unemployment among men, being one of the issues that was raised to be the cause of suicide among men. And during the discussions, one of the presenters focused on issues that have to do with financial issues, financial matters, on how men can manage their finances on a daily basis in their lives. So these were some of the issues that were being addressed during the conference. Right. And the other issue that was that came out is the issue of stigma around issues of mental health, of which it was discussed that it is important to make mental services more accessible and to men, and also more interesting for men, so that men can access such kind of services and remove the stigma towards issues that have to do with mental health.
Very well. You just mentioned that the second edition took place in Karas region, specifically in Keetmanshoop, and this year's edition was held in Ondangwa in the Oshana region. What are the considerations that led to the selection of the Oshana region being the venue for the third edition of this conference?
The third edition of the conference was targeted mainly for Karas region. However, there was a lot of interest that was generated from the previous conference that took place in Ongwendiva last year. And based on that, some kind of assessment was done online by the young people, the youth, and they identified that there are a lot of men in Ondangwa itself who would want to have a conference of this nature. So that encouraged us that we need to have this conference as well in Ondangwa for the second time.
All right. Now, what are the plans to continue hosting this similar conferences in the future? And if so, what are the possible themes that we're going to be expecting, or perhaps topics under consideration here?
The themes will come as we go, as we move forward, looking at the recommendations that came out from these conferences and also the proposed strategies moving forward. So we are planning to have these conferences on an annual basis from one region to another. But however, there are interventions that are already in place in all the regions, in all the 14 regions, which are being implemented by our regional staffs. So I remember there was a gentleman who mentioned it in Keetmanshoop, that he usually calls, he has an organization, he calls men to come for this kind of discussions, but they are not coming. Yeah. So, and he was wondering why they came for this conference. So we could conclude that men have a lot of interest in discussing issues that affect them on a daily basis.
All right. Mr. Matali, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us. We can't wait to actually engage on you more to find out what exactly are the plans for the future conferences, of course, regarding men and all the challenges that we face.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I was in conversation with Mr. Benson Matali. He's the Deputy Director of the Gender Mainstreaming in the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare on the third edition of the National Men's